I'm here today to share some information on a recent incident that occurred here in Jacksonville, and I want to start by thanking our federal partners, DEA and ATF, for their assistance in this case and for being here with us today. So on Monday, November 16th of this year, the Treasure Chest Jewelry Pawn and Gun on Cassett Avenue was robbed at gunpoint by two armed males. The men entered the business, posed as customers, shopping for engagement rings, and at that time, no other customers were present inside the store. As the sole employee was assisting them, one of the males pointed a handgun at her, while the other male zip-tied her hands behind her back. The victim was ordered at gunpoint to hand over the keys to the gun cabinets and was then forced into a bathroom. So we're going to show you a brief video of the robbery attack, and you can see just how quickly this situation turned violent. And there's not going to be any audio in this video, but go ahead with the video. So it looks like we're having some technical difficulties. Just cue that up, and if we get it done before we finish, we'll show it. If not, we'll get you guys a clip of that video. So this video surveillance footage inside the business revealed the two males spent about 8 minutes inside the business. While inside, they stole 40 handguns and more than $100,000 in jewelry and cash. They then fled the scene in the employee's vehicle. So with her hands still tied behind her back, with the zip ties, this brave employee managed to call 911. Her vehicle was recovered a short time later, abandoned near a nearby apartment complex. So using our social media channels, we made the community aware of the suspects that were being sought in this case through the distribution of still images that we got from the surveillance footage. So 4 days later, on Friday, November 20th, we received a tip from our partners at First Coast Crime Stoppers about the identity of one of the suspects. Our detectives confirmed the validity of that tip through some incredible investigative work, and an arrest warrant was issued for Antoine Spight, Jr. So through further investigation, along with collaboration with our partners at DEA, it was learned that Spight had plans to travel to New York to sell the guns. A joint effort between JSO, DEA, and ATF resulted in the capture of Spight outside Atlanta, Georgia, just hours after the tip was received. So ultimately, a search warrant was executed on Spight's mother's residence in Lawrenceville, Georgia, and in that search warrant, we found 26 of the 40 stolen handguns. Then on Sunday, November 22nd, just 2 days later, JSO investigators received another tip about the identity of the second suspect, and again, through some good investigative work, we were able to have a warrant issued for Brandon Nicholson. So with the assistance of the U.S. Marshals Task Force, who's not here with us today, Nicholson was located on Wednesday, November 25th at the Red Roof Inn on the west side of Jacksonville. So after a brief standoff, Nicholson surrendered and was arrested, and a search of the hotel room produced the handgun that Nicholson had used in the robbery and a portion of the stolen jewelry. So it's believed that two other unknown suspects also participated in this crime as either lookouts or getaway drivers that day. So anyone with any information about the identity of these two unknown suspects is encouraged to call JSO at 630-0500, give us that information, or reach out through First Coast Crime Stoppers and give us that tip. So this case not only highlights the great investigative efforts by our federal and local law enforcement partnerships, but it also reminds us of the valuable asset that First Coast Crime Stoppers is to our community. And obviously, the critical piece that the community plays in crimes like this, where without their information, we would not be able to solve these crimes. Absolutely would not be able to solve them so quickly. So again, in closing, any additional information about this case to include the identity of the two additional suspects, we would ask that they reach out and call JSO, or again, reach out through Crime Stoppers. And with that, we can answer a couple questions.
Sheriff, Spight and Nicholson, have you tied them to other crimes? Have you been doing this for a while?
So they're both, I think, what you could categorize as career criminals. Spight, I believe, had just been released from prison, federal prison. And so they both have criminal histories, and so have been at this for quite a while.
How many handguns are still out there from the stolen incident?
So 16. We recovered. We have not yet recovered those other handguns. Again, en route for New York City. So important to note about the handguns in our community, they don't always leave the community. This is a unique case where these individuals are clearly professionals and career criminals, and they're profiting in mass off of stolen handguns. The challenge we see locally with stolen handguns is still out of unlocked vehicles. We're approaching 600 for the year, and many of those will remain in our community as crime guns in this community, not necessarily transported out of the state. So, we again like to take this opportunity to remind people to be responsible gun owners and keep those firearms locked up. So, anything else? So robbery, kidnapping, and a variety of other charges that, as investigations unfold.
Does this have anything to do with the gun bounty program?
No, it doesn't, but I'm glad you asked. So, gun bounty is, again, a response to us. Again, it gives people another avenue to reach out to us, to give us information about individuals who are carrying guns illegally. Clearly they were, but this tip was really around the robbery and kidnapping incident. But we would encourage people to reach out to Crime Stoppers with that information about knowing someone who's carrying a gun illegally, a convicted felon, a drug dealer, share that information with us. And if they do that, they can do so anonymously, and they will receive a $1,000 tip. I think we're up to about 30 plus gun bounty tips as we re-engage the program again. And so, and still working on closing some of those out. So a successful operation, but again, we have to have the community support to, to get the benefit from the program. So.
For Special Agent Dubette, can you talk about your role as far as the federal partnership here with JSO with being able to track this down?
Yes, I would just say that we work every day hand in hand with the Jacksonville Sheriff's Office on drug and violent crimes, and this is just a prime example of one of those.
Yeah, it's always great to highlight the partnerships. We get asked a lot, do you leverage those relationships? And obviously, ATF, DEA, FBI, every single day are working together on a variety of cases. And again, this is just one example of that. So, I want to take a minute and thank them for their partnerships each and every day. So it makes our community safer. So, all right, thank you.